TV. This is the Monday Report with Trevor Ombija.
That's absolutely right. Good evening. It's good to have you with us. Thank you so much for staying with the Monday Report. Listen, 23 Asal counties are facing drought as we speak. Another 31 may be facing floods in the near future. And that's the reason why we're asking you, how is the weather like where you are? That's a conversation we're having in just a short while. Honorable Geoffrey Ruku is the CS for Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs. He'll be joining us online from Kilifi, where he currently is, to tell us, are they prepared to mitigate drought and then immediately after that, floods? Dr. Ahmed Idris, the Secretary General for Kenya Red Cross Society, will also be telling us their preparations in terms of how they're going to mitigate the floods and the diseases that come with it, and whether they're ready or not, and the kinds of resources that they require. And then there's the weatherman, Edward Murioki. He's the Acting Director, Kenya Meteorological Department. He'll tell us, what are we experiencing right now? Is this climate change? What is expected? What happens with 31 counties? They say there's going to be receiving average to beyond average rainfall. We'll find out from him what exactly that means. But I'm not alone. Emmanuel Ndungu is here, or Emmanuel ND. The latest in sporting world. What's going on, my man?
I'm very good. Hope you're doing well as well.
Z.
And all of you at home. Yes, we have some action in the Kenya Premier League, some hockey, some badminton. So quite a range of sports to get through today, and quite comprehensive as well.
Brilliant. That coming up in just a short while. But first, our top stories tonight.
I know what Ngeno stood for, and I know how difficult it is for the residents and the people of Emurua-Degir.
We have lost a leader of conviction and courage. President Ruto condoles with the family of the late MP Ngeno as burial is set for Friday this week. A Malta agency team continues to comb the crash site in Nandi, and 8 people record statements in the ongoing investigations into the chopper tragedy.
Siku hiyo asubuhi tulikunywa chai naye, paka message ya mheshimiwa akaambia ikucha twende safari. Kaniambia mama, nilikuwa ningeenda Narok, nitoe barua, nichue mahali nitaenda.
A family shattered. A promising teacher career cut short as a son who dreamed of shaping young minds is mourned after tragic chopper crash. President Ruto condemns Iranian missile strike in the Gulf region, warning against further escalation as tensions rise in the Middle East.
Thanks for tuning in. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Yulan Zale. The late Emurua-Dikir Member of Parliament Joanna Ngeno will be laid to rest on Friday at his Mogondo home in Narok County. The funeral organizing committee announced that memorial services for MP Ngeno and 5 others who perished in Saturday's aircraft crash will be held on Wednesday and Thursday in Nairobi, as well as in Narok County. President William Ruto, who on Monday visited the late legislator's residence in Karen to condole with the family, stated that the government will cover the burial expenses of all the victims of the tragedy. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui was there.
At the Nairobi residence of the late Member of Parliament Joanna Ngeno in Karen, President William Ruto led members of Parliament and other government leaders in condoling with the legislator's widow Nayanoin Tutu Ngeno and the family. President Ruto describing Ngeno's sudden death in a helicopter crash as a devastating loss to his family, the people of Emurua-Dikir, and the nation at large.
I know what Ngeno stood for, and I know how difficult it is for the residents and the people of Emurua-Degir. I know how difficult it is for the family, because Ngeno did an extraordinary job as a member of Parliament and as a leader.
He hailed the late Member of Parliament as a key pillar of the government's affordable housing program, noting that in his role as chairperson of the National Assembly Committee on Housing and Urban Planning, Ngeno played a central role in fast-tracking the implementation of the flagship project.
Housing was one of the most difficult assignments that I have undertaken as president. It has tested my resilience as a person. Today, housing is the most consequential undertaking of this administration. Johanna Ngeno will have a special place in housing.
While mourning the 5 other victims who perished in Saturday's crash, the president assured their families that they will not be sidelined in the burial arrangements, adding that the government will meet funeral expenses to ease the financial burden on the bereaved.
All the people who accompanied Ngeno, including the pilot, we will extend government support to all of them. And we will oversee all the requirements that are needed for their decent interment and burial.
Meanwhile, the funeral organizing committee chaired by Tinderet Member of Parliament Julius Meli announced that the other 4 victims except the pilot will be laid to rest at their respective homes on Friday.
Beginning on Wednesday, we are going to have a requiem mass. Ngeno and his team, the 4 of them, we are going to have a requiem mass at AGC Karen. Thereafter, we shall be able to take the bodies to Narok, where we are going to have a joint mass for all of them again.
Following the announcement of burial date, funeral preparations are now underway, with the late Member of Parliament set to be laid to rest at his Mogondo home in Emurua Dikir, Narok County this Friday. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Karen, Nairobi.
And now on to the grief of families of the 6 victims of the helicopter crash in Mosop in Nandi County. And tonight we focus on a family in Chengina village in Emurua Dikir constituency in Narok County, whose son, Robert Keter, popularly known as Mwalimu Carlos, perished in the ill-fated chopper. Mwalimu Carlos, who recently just secured a Teachers Service Commission employment letter after years of waiting, was among those who died while traveling with Emurua Dikir MP Johanna Ngeno. Just when his family thought their fortunes would change after secured employment, they have been left mourning his untimely death. Safina Chienguma has that report.
In Emurua Dikir, Narok County, the mood is somber at the home of Robert Keter, popularly known as Mwalimu Carlos, in Chengina village. Carlos was among the 6 who perished in a helicopter crash in Mosop on Saturday. His mother, inconsolable.
Mtoto wangu ameenda, ameniacha bila kujua.
Her pain cuts deeper as she remembers their last conversation over breakfast.
Alikuwa ameniambia anataka kujenga nyumba. Siku ya asubuhi tukampikia simu mtu wa kukata mbao. Akafika. Kufika hapa akaendelea kuangusha miti. Carlos akasema mheshimiwa ameniita, acha niende. Huyo mtu aendelee kukata mbao, nitarudi tuendelee tujenge nyumba.
That was the last promise he made to his family, and the last time they saw him alive as he dashed to join Emurua Dikir MP Johanna Ngeno for his trip. Carlos was supposed to pick his Teachers Service Commission employment letter after years of waiting.
Siku hiyo asubuhi tulikunywa chai naye mpaka message ya mheshimiwa akaambia kucha tuende safari. Kaniambia mama, nilikuwa ningeenda Narok, nitoe barua, nijue mahali nitaenda.
His sister Happiness is not happy that she did not get to meet her brother's final request.
Around 11:45 p.m. kakanipigia simu kakaniambia tumefika na ninaona weather sio mzuri. Ninataka unitumie 1000, alafu tukitoka hapa nitakuja kuwithdraw pesa na nikurudishe. I told my brother niko na cash na utangojea niende kwa M-Pesa na nikutumie.
What would have been a turning point for this family has now turned into a moment heavy with grief.
Sasa hizo plans za Carlos, alikuwa anataka kunijengea nyumba. Akasema kwa vile nimepata barua mama, hautakuwa na shida tena. Tulikuwa tunaongea naye maneno mingi ambayo hata siwezi kukumbuka sahi kwa sababu mimi niko na huzuni mingi.
Tunasema pole tena kwa familia ya Carlos ama Robert Keter na wengine wale walihusika na hiyo ajali ya ndege.
His family has been left devastated as they struggle to plan his burial, hoping that this is just another bad dream. Safina Chiengoma, Citizen TV.
When tragedy struck Nandi County following the helicopter crash that claimed the lives of Johanna Ngeno, Member of Parliament for Emurua Dikir, and 5 others, the nation mourned, but one village was left reeling in shock. Amid the chaos and confusion in Chepkiep village, a 22-year-old nursing student refused to stand by, stepping forward to save lives despite not yet having earned her practicing license. Our reporter Emily Chebet takes us inside this quiet act of courage and the story of a mother-daughter family whose resolve shone through the darkness of tragedy.
Saturday, 28th February 2026, a deafening bang shattered the quiet of Chepkiep village in Nandi County. Residents rushed out of their homes, only to be greeted by thick black smoke billowing into the sky. A helicopter had crashed in their neighborhood. Shock and confusion gripped the village, and as villagers held back unsure of how to respond, 22-year-old Jacobeth Jepto, a nursing student at Kendu Adventist School of Medical Sciences, made a split-second decision.
Ndege ilikuwa inaendelea kuwaka. Alafu kuna mtu mwingine alikuwa bado alitupwa kando, lakini alikuwa bado hako hai. Jepto akafinya, huyo mtu akasikia akasema bado hako hai. Akarudi tena nyumbani, akachukua clubs, akachukua mashiti na akakimbia mpaka hapo.
4 people died instantly. 2 are still alive. 1 raised his hand. Another one died after 5 minutes. He had on assessment and the ABC. This one, he had internal bleeding. And later the bleeding was seen from the nose, mouth and the ears.
Armed with gloves and the basic skills she had learned in training, Jepto, who was yet to sit for her final examination to obtain a practicing license, chose action over hesitation.
Actually, at the scene, I didn't know any soul there. We were trying just to offer help as a nurse and as just advising each patient. As the way we were taught, you are supposed to take care of any patient like your own soul, like your own family member.
Jepto says the tragedy underscores the urgent need for all Kenyans to acquire basic first aid and disaster response skills. She is also calling for improved training and equipping of community health promoters, noting that with the right tools and preparedness, local responders can play a critical role in saving lives during emergencies.
The CHPs came there, but also the CHPs had no emergency equipment. The gloves that I gave them and the mask were mine. As much as we are waiting for the emergencies, there are some basic things that the CHPs should be having.
Jepto and her mother were among the first to respond to the crash. Say the images and memories of the day remain deeply etched in their minds, a painful experience they are still struggling to come to terms with.
Hata hiyo sikulala. Niliamuka tu kutoka hapa nyumbani mpaka saa 3 vile mili inachukuliwa, nikakuja nikakaa chini mpaka jana yote nikakaa chini nikisumbuka. Hata nikikaa saa hii niliambia watoto sasa mkirudi shule nitakaaje kwa hii nyumba.
As much as I've seen so many emergencies, at least those emergencies you are not working alone, you are with people. I'm so sorry. I feel so sorry about this. The thing that traumatized me is that person that stayed up to 30 minutes. There were signs of life. That person could have also met, but I just watched him dying in my hands with the little help that I gave him. It was so sad.
Jepto's heroic actions have touched the hearts of many Kenyans, with some now calling on the government to formally recognize her bravery. At the same time, residents of Nandi County are urging authorities to improve the road network and emergency response infrastructure, saying that one of the victims who survived for nearly 30 minutes after the crash might have had a better chance if help had arrived sooner. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The musicians from the Kalenjin community are mourning the passing of Emurua Dikir, Member of Parliament Johanna Ngeno, describing him as a key figure in nurturing local talent. Speaking in Bomet County, artists from across the Rift Valley recalled how the late Ngeno championed their craft, providing financial support that allowed many to record their songs and gain wider recognition. Miran Nyambura has the details.
This was his final dance, captured in Endebess, Trans Nzoia County, where he spent his last hours with a community he cherished deeply. While many knew Johana Ngeno as the Member of Parliament for Emurua Dikir, here among local artists, he was much more, a passionate patron and a steadfast supporter. Today they mourn his loss, remembering the encouragement he offered and the platforms he created that allowed their talents to shine.
Alikuwa mtu akona ukarimu sana. Ungemkuta mheshimiwa Nkong kama uko na shida kuhusu kukusaidia, kama msanii, kama mtu yeyote.
Was one of those who identified the hidden talent that creatives can make their own jobs, can empower the nation.
Meshach Matthias, a Kalenjin artist, composed this tribute song just 24 hours after Johana Ngeno's passing. A heartfelt and immediate response to honor the late leader in the way he knew best. Ngeno was one of the few leaders who genuinely believed in promoting culture and nurturing creativity.
Tumeadhirika vibaya sana, hata hatujui tutaanza wapi. Lakini tunaomba tu kama itawezekana kwa serikali ama kiongozi yote mwenye ako na roho kama Ngong akuja atushike, kwa maana Ngong ndiye alituonyesha ya kwamba hii ni industry yenye inaweza create employment.
His passion for uplifting the youth earned him respect among musicians.
Us as kama waimbaji, we don't want to leave it. We want the legacy of our honorable Ngong Johana Ngeno iendelezwe vizuri. Na kwa hao majaji tunasema tu pole.
Ngong Ngeno ametusaidia sana. Sisi kama wanawake hatukuwa na nguvu ya kuimba, lakini yeye alitupea encouragement. Alitusupport sana. Pia mimi binafsi alinisaidia. Hadi mahali niko saa hii ni mheshimiwa Ngong.
As preparations for his burial continue, the Kalenjin music fraternity says it will stand united to honor a man they describe as both a mentor and a patron. One whose influence on the Kalenjin music industry will resonate for generations. Marian Nyambura, Citizen TV.
Now, investigations into the tragic helicopter crash in Mosop in Nandi County has entered its second day, with the probe team visiting the scene in Chepkiep village to collect crucial evidence for further analysis. Investigators say some of the evidence collected will be flown overseas for further analysis as they try to unravel what caused the crash that led to Emurua Dikir Member of Parliament Johana Ngeno pilot and also pilot George Were and 4 others dead. Stephen Leto has more.
In Chepkiep Mosop constituency in Nandi County, investigators drawn from a multi-agency team, including the DCI, Forensic Homicides, and the Aircraft Accidents Investigative Department, returned to the crash scene. The detectives collected crucial exhibits, including body tissues and crucial plane parts. They also interrogated 8 people who were first at the scene of the plane crash that claimed the lives of Emurua Dikir MP Johana Ngeno, pilot George Were, camera person Nikos Gay, Amos Kipngetich, and teacher Carlos Keter. The investigators, who are racing against time to give a comprehensive report, says parts of the ill-fated plane will be flown overseas for further analysis by the manufacturer. Preliminary findings show that the plane may have crashed due to bad weather. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
Our deepest condolences to the family of the late Johana Ngeno and the 5 others who perished in the crash. Now, the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi is now inviting members of the bicameral parliament to explore constitutional changes that could ease pressure on the government's expenditure and help the country manage its ballooning wage bill. Appearing before the National Assembly Budget Committee, Mbadi warned that the economy may not be able to sustain the continuous duplication of roles in both national and county government, which consumes 3.5 trillion shillings of the 4.7 trillion shillings budget on recurrent expenditure. Jimmy Bogo has more.
The National Treasury is proposing an expenditure budget of 4.7 trillion shillings for the financial year 2026-2027, out of which the government will spend 3.45 trillion shillings on recurrent expenditure, while development will receive 749.5 billion shillings, even as counties take away 495.5 billion shillings. Treasury will, however, set aside 2 billion shillings in the contingency fund. According to the CS, this will lead to a budget deficit of 1.1 trillion shillings, which will be financed through net external borrowing of 225.5 billion shillings and a net domestic borrowing of 890.4 billion shillings.
To realize these fiscal outcomes in the financial year 26-27 budget, the government will continue to pursue a prudent fiscal consolidation anchored on sustainable domestic revenue mobilization through targeted tax policy and administrative reforms, rationalization of non-essential expenditure, strengthened expenditure control, and improved spending.
It is this expenditure that Treasury now says is unsustainable, urging the legislative arm of government to consider reviewing the constitution to save Kenyans from the ballooning wage bill.
I have been a proponent of devolution, and I dare say this, it's not working. I dare say this, it's not working. And you know it's not working. We're only afraid to say because of the politics of the day.
The truth is that this constitution is too expensive. This economy will collapse under the weight of our mismanagement and governance challenges. So we need to be so to answer through Chairman Honorable Kainan, you are the people to start initiating some of these things.
The budget is based on a high estimate, high projection for ordinary revenues, and yet the historical facts are that we have not been able to meet even lower targets in the past. So I wanted us to understand the wisdom behind that. Are we living a lie?
The truth is that yes, it is true that we have not been we have been over projecting revenue, I think, although it is not really over projection. I think it is our tax administration system that has failed us.
With the recent US-Israeli attacks in Iran set to have an impact on the global trade, Mbadi says the government will keenly monitor the trend to ensure Kenya is not adversely affected.
If the war is going to continue longer than anticipated, then obviously it is going to have a hit on our economy. And we must now think on how to maneuver our ways. It is going to be like COVID-19.
And as the National Treasury embarks on the budget-making process for the financial year 2026-2027, Treasury has disbursed 20 billion shillings to the Kenya Revenue Authority to boost in revenue mobilization. But amid falling revenues and increased recurrent expenditure, questions abound on whether Treasury is keen on reducing expenditure or squeezing Kenyans for more resources. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, President William Ruto has condemned the missile strikes targeting American bases in the Gulf region as the Middle East war escalates. The head of state says that attacks on the Gulf states poses a grave threat to international peace and security, calling for engagements that will open talks for de-escalation. But in a quick rejoinder, the Islamic Republic of Iran ambassador to Kenya, Ali Golampor, said Iran is only defending itself from US-Israeli aggression by targeting American assets spread out in the Gulf region. Aset Olale now reports the crisis has already unleashed significant disruptions across the globe after several countries closed their airspace and airlines suspended travel, cancelling thousands of flights and leaving tens of thousands of passengers stranded.
President William Ruto has reacted to the Middle East conflict for the first time 48 hours since the crisis erupted. In a statement, the head of state said Kenya strongly condemns the strikes on the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Oman, Kuwait, Jordan and Bahrain in the evolving conflict in the Middle East. It is evident that the regionalization of this conflict poses a grave threat to international peace and security. At this defining and perilous moment in global history, long-standing multilateral institutions remain indispensable frameworks for the resolution of the current crisis in the Middle East. Kenya calls for urgent multi-stakeholder engagement towards de-escalation. Responding to President Ruto's stance of the Middle East conflict, the Islamic Republic of Iran ambassador to Kenya, Ali Golampo, while addressing journalists in Nairobi, said Tehran is defending itself from US-Israeli aggression by targeting American assets spread out in the Gulf region.
My country asserts its inherent and legitimate right to self-defense.
The Iranian envoy adding that Kenya is not a legitimate target for Tehran's offensive against American military assets spread out around the globe.
The range of missiles to maximum 2,000 kilometers, only for defensive purposes. And no, I don't think that we will, because the great people and the government of Kenya, we have had long historical friendly amicable relations, and we do our best to preserve that relation.
With some Kenyans still stranded in Iran following bombardment from US and Israeli artillery, the Islamic Republic of Iran is assuring Kenya safe evacuation through land bordering its neighbors.
For those Kenyans who has remained in Iran, they can easily contact their embassy, and the Kenyan embassy will help them to, if they wish to get out of the country, they will provide all the facilities. So there is no worry on that. How many are they? I don't have any specific figure. It's not that much. It's very few.
As the Middle East conflict escalates, gas prices have reportedly risen sharply on international markets in response to the tensions in the Gulf, with natural gas for delivery in April trading up 42%. Meanwhile, death toll in Iran is reported to have reached 555 as US and Israel escalates attacks against Iran. An Israeli strike has reportedly killed 31 in Beirut following Hezbollah's missile attack on Israel. Explosions have also been heard across Qatar, UAE and Kuwait, where US jets crashed over reported mix-up in air defense systems.
شوف يا واحد شوف هذا المسير يا الربع شوف
The diplomatic stands undertaken by both Tehran and Nairobi coming at a time when the United Nations Security Council is appealing for de-escalation in order to prevent further loss of life and property. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, Nairobi County.
All right, on that note, we're taking a quick break here on the Monday Report. When we come back, we still have a few more stories to run you by, and then we'll have a conversation on the weather report. That's what we're calling it, because about 23 ASAL counties are facing drought as we speak. 31 counties are facing potential flooding. And this is the wording in most of the March-April weather report. They say that these 31 counties may experience near average to above average to occasional heavy rainfall. Is that warning enough? That's a conversation we'll be having with Edward Murioki, Acting Director, Kenya Meteorological Department, to find out what exactly does this warning mean. Is this flood imminent or not? And then we'll also have Dr. Ahmed Idris, the Secretary General of Kenya Red Cross Society, and Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, the CS for Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs, will be joining us from Kilifi. We find out from him whether they are able to shift that intervention, because they're currently dealing with drought. We may be heading towards floods. How fast will they shift that intervention? That's the conversation we're having. But we're also asking you, how's the weather like where you are? At Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Citizen Monday Report. See you in just a bit. Thanks for staying with the Monday Report. Now, the government says it will soon introduce instant fines on traffic offenders to curb the rising cases of accidents in the country. To enforce this, the government will install cameras on major streets in all major cities in the country. As Emmanuel Toh now reports, the measures are aimed at taming road carnage, which saw 5,000 people killed in 2025.
The report handed to President William Ruto at State House, Nairobi, Monday by the National Council on the Administration of Justice, NCAJ, highlighted a grim picture of the rise in cases of road accidents in the country. The report showing that 415 people were killed on the roads between December 16th and January 10th, 2026, compared to 338 fatalities in 2024 in the same period as Kenyans traveled for Christmas and New Year celebrations. According to the report on accidents in Kenya, 5,009 fatalities were reported in 2025 compared to 4,748 reported in 2024, accounting to an increase of 261 fatalities. The data also revealing that the Ministry of Health spends about 48.5 billion shillings annually on healthcare costs attributed to road traffic injuries. The average cost of treating a road accident victim is estimated to about 69,000 shillings for moderate injuries and 147,000 shillings for severe injuries, with an average admission of 10 to 24 days depending on severity.
The NCAJ stands ready to lead and coordinate the justice sector and to respond in partnership with the executive.
This as the government announced the beginning of instant fines for traffic offenders starting April this year.
70% of this big problem we are trying to solve here can be sorted out with just 2 interventions: instant fines and vehicle inspection. Things within our purview and our reach.
The president also revealing the government's plan to use state-of-the-art smart traffic cameras to catch reckless drivers.
Let us roll out cameras in is it 5 or 6 major towns in Kenya in the next 1 month.
Again, having cameras all over the place will make sure that these officers are held into account.
President Ruto also announced the devolving of vehicle inspection services to the private sector through a public-private partnership arrangement. If implemented conclusively, the measures put by the government to curb road accidents in the country will reduce deaths on the roads, even as it emerges that private vehicles are now contributing exponential rise in these cases compared to the PSVs. Emmanuel Tor, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The Social Health Authority, that is SHA, is facing a nationwide disruption of its digital services following a major system failure. In a statement, Social Health Authority Chief Executive Officer Dr. Mercy Mwangangi said essential services delivery across all healthcare facilities has been affected. The disruption has particularly impacted pre-authorization processes, which are critical in facilitating patient access to treatment in hospitals and clinics. According to Dr. Mwangangi, the disruption has originated from its service provider, the Digital Health Agency, adding that a team is currently working to restore the system failure. Some rather unfortunate news here. Fresh allegations of defilement have surfaced at Kerugoya School for the Deaf. An 80-year-old pupil says that she was assaulted by a teacher already facing similar charges with the police. Our reporter Ode Francis has the details.
Authorities are investigating fresh allegations of defilement at Kerugoya School for the Deaf after an 80-year pupil reported being sexually assaulted by a teacher already facing similar charges.
On 25th Wednesday, ni walikuwa wanakuja midterm kumwendea shule. Mtoto alikuwa ajaribu communicate kwangu akiniambia kuna kitu ilikuwa imefanyikia. Though alisign alikuwa na deep pain. Tulikuwa kwa jia ndio mtoto alikuwa ananiambia kuna pain huku chini. Kufika nyumbani kitu ya kwanza ilikuwa kuangalia nini ilikuwa imehapenia mtoto juu alikuwa na complain sana tulikuwa kwa jia. Kuangalia mtoto ndio nilipata alikuwa red huku kwa jia yake ya uzazi.
Authorities confirm the suspect, a teacher at this institution, is already in custody of a previous defilement case. He has now been identified again by a second victim.
Akanipea gofoa niende afanywe test zote za kuonyesha kama alikuwa amelipiwa na ikasemekana ni ukweli mtoto alikuwa amelipiwa. Sasa mimi nataka justice juu huyu siye mtoto wa kwanza kulipiwa kwa hiyo shule. Bado date 15 kulikuwa kumelipiwa mwingine wa grade 6 of 13 years. So ni kitu imefanyika kwa shule mara kadhaa.
The child, a PP2 deaf pupil, disclosed the ordeal to her mother after being picked up for midterm break. Initially withdrawn at school, she later revealed at home that she had been defiled. Her mother rushed her to hospital before reporting the matter to police. Investigators have engaged an independent sign language interpreter, recorded statements and retrieved CCTV footage.
Daktari amesema hii si mara ya kwanza mtoto wangu amefanyiwa hii tendo. Ilimefanyika tena juu kulingana na jia ya mtoto ya uzazi inasema si mara moja hii kitu imefanyikia mtoto wangu. Imefanyika several times.
Medical examinations confirm the assault. The case adds to mounting concerns over repeated sexual abuse allegations at the institution, with the same teacher now linked to multiple victims. Authorities say they have visited the school scene and continue to gather evidence as the matter heads to court. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Such unfortunate news. Let's talk about politics now. And ahead of the United Opposition's tour of Tharaka Nithi and Meru counties this week, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has issued a stern warning to opposition leaders, urging them to refrain from using demeaning language against the government. Speaking at Gakoromone Market in Meru town after inspecting the ongoing construction of the new Meru Level 6 hospital, Kindiki expressed confidence in countering attempts by his predecessor Rigathi Gachagua to sway the vote to reach Mount Kenya region against President William Ruto ahead of the 2027 elections. Kama Mwangi has the details.
As the opposition ramps up pressure on President William Ruto and his government's policies, their choice of words in criticizing the fifth administration has drawn the ire of the country's second-in-command. Addressing traders at Kakoromone Market in Meru, ahead of the opposition's planned tour of Tharaka Nithi and Meru starting Friday, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki called on opposition leaders to end what he described as a smearing campaign.
Nyinyi nani? Wewe nani? Wewe nani? Wewe nani? Ukifika hapa, kuja na heshima bwana. Wewe kuja na heshima. Usikuja na madharau. Usikuja na kiherehere. Usikuja na kimbelembele. Sisi hapa hatupendi madharau.
Pointing to his predecessor Rigathi Gachagua as lacking political decorum, Kindiki, who has directly challenged the DCP leader in a supremacy battle over the vote-rich Mount Kenya region, said he will have undone all of Gachagua's efforts to turn the region against President William Ruto by the time of the general election.
Juzi wewe umeenda pale na kimbelembele na madharau pale mbele north. Ukaanza kuingia hapo mahali ambao hujakanyanga siku ile ulikuwa naibu wa rais. Saa hiyo unajifanya marafiki na watu ya mbele. Ukazunguka pale, ukajipiga kipua, ukasema wewe ni maarifu. Sisi tukakuja pale, tukakuambia tutakuangusha. Tulimwangusha, hatukumwangusha. Tulimnyoa, hatukumnyoa.
He was speaking after inspecting the ongoing construction of the new Meru Level 6 hospital being built at a cost of 1 billion Kenya shillings as part of the 49 billion Kenya shillings the Kenya Kwanza administration is investing across various sectors in the county. Kindiki said such investments are the foundation on which President William Ruto will campaign as he seeks re-election.
Na sisi hatuna shida na mtu yeyote, bora ukuja na heshima, useme mambo yako, alafu kwende. Kwa sababu sisi sio watu ya fujo, lakini hiyo madharau ukiendelea nayo, ukikataa kuachana na hiyo tabia ya matusi, wewe tutakuaibisha bwana. Wewe nani wewe? Wewe nani? Wewe nani?
Kama Mwangi, Citizen TV.
Now, Jubilee Party Deputy Leader Fred Matiang'i has called on the youth to take advantage of their population and contest for elective positions in the 2027 general elections. Speaking in Samburu County, where he officially launched Jubilee Party Office Samburu branch, Dr. Matiang'i expressed confidence that the united opposition will remain intact in order to field a single candidate who will defeat President Ruto and make him a one-term president. He was accompanied by a delegation of Jubilee Party leaders led by the party's Secretary General Moitalel Olekenta, Jeremiah Kioni, Kisii Senator Richard Onyonka, among other leaders as well.
To avoid watu wengine kuclaim nyongo. Hiki chama chetu cha Jubilee tumeanza sasa muundo mpya na mpango mpya wa kuhakikisha kwamba vijana wote na viongozi wa vijana wanahusika katika masuala ya chama. Na nawaomba tafadhali vijana ambao wanataka kuhusika katika uchaguzi kuanzia mashinani, msiingie tu kwa wards, ingia kwa viti vya bunge, kwa senate, kwa kila mahali women rep, sababu sasa hiyo ndio Kenya mpya.
Naomba vijana pale popote hako, ule mtu ako Samburu, machama simefunguliwa hapa mingi, naomba enda utafute kipande, enda fanya registration ya kura, ndio upate kuchagua ile mtu unataka. Kwa sababu unakaa na wewe ndio unapiga kelele na una kura na hujajiregister kwa kupiga kwa IBC.
Communications Authority of Kenya announces phased reduction of mobile termination rates over the next 4 years. Now, this move benefits smaller operators but reduces what Safaricom earns from its rivals. Jasmine Wamboi has more.
Mobile termination rates, or MTRs, are the fees Telecom operators pay each other to complete calls across different networks. So when an Airtel Kenya customer calls a Safaricom subscriber, Airtel pays Safaricom a fee to deliver that call. Because Safaricom has the largest share of the voice market, about 61%, it receives more of these payments than it pays out. That has made interconnection charges a steady source of revenue, and in the year to March, Safaricom earned 4.7 billion shillings from these fees. But that income is now set to decline. The Communications Authority has reduced the termination rate from 41 cents per minute to 37 cents effective Sunday. The regulator has also mapped out further cuts to 35 cents by February 2028, 33 cents by February 2029, and finally 30 cents by March 2029 when another review is due. As the rate falls, Safaricom will collect less money from competitors like Airtel and even Telecom. For these smaller operators, however, the lower fees means reduced operating costs and slightly improved margins,
but also exercise control over those resources.
The changes partly follow concerns raised by the World Bank in its latest Kenya Economic Update report, which argues that Kenya's termination rates are still higher than the actual cost of providing the service. In fact, a study commissioned by the regulator shows that the real cost of terminating a call is about 6 cents. This is far below the current regulated rate. The World Bank also saying that Kenya's rates are higher than those in markets such as Tanzania and Ghana, and that high termination fees tend to favor larger operators. All this comes at a difficult time for voice business. Traditional call revenues are already declining as more consumers shift to internet-based platforms such as WhatsApp, Zoom and Skype, which use mobile data instead of conventional voice minutes. And mobile termination rates have been falling for years, from a high of 2 shillings and 21 cents per minute in 2010 to current levels. For now, however, it is unclear whether customers will see a drop in call prices, as operators are yet to announce any retail tariff cuts. Jasmine Wamboi, Citizen TV.
Now, the government is fast-tracking the shift to digital procurement to enhance transparency and seal corruption loopholes. But as the implementation of the electronic government procurement system continues, concerns are emerging over whether small businesses are fully prepared. Our reporter Dennis Otieno has the details.
At a supplier forum in Nairobi, officials from the National Treasury and Economic Planning said the EGP system will automate supplier registration, e-bidding and contract management, reducing human discretion in tender awards.
You will compete without us seeing your face. What we will see is what you put in that will tell us you have the capability of doing that particular job that you have bid for.
Treasury argues the platform will create a clear audit trail and improve accountability in public spending.
And we'll see ourselves being more competitive even in the region, even globally, when we're able to do things online and we're able to do things in a more seamless way.
However, the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry says many micro, small and medium enterprises are struggling with compliance requirements, digital literacy gaps and the cost of bid security guarantees.
There's no need of having a tender or a supply content without a budget allocated to it. That is the cause of the pending bills.
To date, a total of 37,377 suppliers have registered for the system, representing just 10% of the suppliers in the country.
On the platform, we have been able to train over 2,000 of our members across the country. The target in phase 1 is 28 counties that we need to bring them, to train them across all the counties.
While Treasury insists that the system will improve accountability and efficiency, its success may ultimately depend on how quickly suppliers across the country can adapt to the digital shift. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
All right, now that wraps up business news, but the sportsman is here. What's going on?
Yes, very good, thank you. Coming up in sports, we have action in the Kenya Premier League and much more. So just a few minutes, we'll be there.
There's no doubt Faith Kipyegon is definitely looking strong for her next race. Everyday hustle, man, get the
Welcome back to the programme. My name is Emmanuel Ndungu. Let's get right into the sports news. The alarm bells at Ulinzi Stars are now ringing loud after yet another loss in the Kenya Premier League. Ulinzi lost to fellow relegation strugglers Bidco United to climb a point above danger in the danger zone. Defender Bill Okite scored in his own net in an attempt to clear the ball from a corner kick in stoppage time of the first half. Ulinzi are winless in the last 8 matches, losing 5 and drawing 3. They now drop into the relegation zone in 16th, tied on 19 points with APS Bomet in 17th and 5 points above bottom club Sofapaka. Bidco climbed to 15th, just 1 point above the relegation zone. Now, former champions Tusker FC's revival continued with a hard-fought 2-1 win over the Kariobangi Sharks in another FKF Premier League match. Tusker FC had the perfect start with veteran Francis Oduor scoring from a free header in the 17th minute. The lead lasted only 2 minutes though, as the Sharks drew level with a brilliant goal from wonder kid Humphrey Aroko in the 19th minute. This is Aroko's 8th goal of the season, pushing him to 3rd in the league's top scorers. Tusker FC took the winner in the 78th minute when a mistake by the Sharks goalkeeper gifted Ian Simiu. Tusker climbed 2 places to 8th in the standings, while the Sharks remain 14th with 11 games to play this season. The national football team, the Harambee Starlets, are currently trailing 2-0 to Benin in their first friendly match being played in Abidjan in the Ivory Coast. Starlets will also face host Ivory Coast in another friendly match on Wednesday. The team left Nairobi on Saturday morning after the naming of the final squad. The 2 friendly matches are part of their preparation for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations beginning later this month. After the 2 matches in Abidjan, the team will head to Miramas in France for a camp before going to Morocco for the championship. Coach Beldin Odemba took 25 players to the Ivory Coast, players who have been registered for the WAFCON tournament. The 2 friendly matches will give the technical bench the direction in what to work on ahead of the Morocco championship.
Preparation imekuwa poa, ukiangalia tumejifiti na hii AFCON kikam. Our aim is to go for World Cup na najua it's possible from us tukitoa from heart na tuwekea grow. Hatuwezi sema tu it's possible from our mouth. We have to work and show it in the field, and me na believe it's possible.
As we're going for AFCON, tumejipiga moral, tumesema tunaweza. I guess players wako camp, kila msee anasema it's a big stage. Players wanataka kwenda wajipeane, so kila mtu ana work ku give 100% yake ndio tufikie semi tunataka. Juu tukifika semi tumeingia World Cup, na sisi aim yetu tunataka tufikie World Cup because that is the biggest stage.
Switching gears now, a nationwide campaign to position badminton as a national and international sport was held in Nanyuki town, with over 70 players participating in a tournament. Dubbed Boom and Thrive Badminton CSR Tournament 2026, the event attracted players from over 20 counties, including Central, Nairobi, Rift Valley and the coastal regions. In the team championships, URF Shuttlers won 4-3 against Thika Club, while Mr. Thunderbolts secured third after winning the playoffs 4-1 against Nanyuki Ironclads. In the singles showdown, national team player Wilkie Karagori won 2-1 against Edwin Waitathu in the finals to secure the men's crown. Naomi Wandili won 2-1 against Jacinta Sengera in the finals. Through similar competitions across various parts of the country, the organisers hope to raise the bar for a sport that has not been attracting attention compared to athletics, boxing and football.
Of talent, and even the national team was here, and they have really gotten a tough competition from the juniors, meaning the sport, there is a really big future for this sport, despite the challenges that we are facing at the moment.
My hope is that we continue getting better and better, and also that the federation is fixed, because so that we can get to compete internationally. So yeah, that's my hope.
Being the first time in Mount Kenya, we've seen very young, good players upcoming, and I'm foreseeing a very good future and bright for badminton players in Mount Kenya and our nation as a whole.
To finish off, Butali Warriors and Lakers Hockey Club were crowned the 2025-26 Kenya Club Hockey Champions after the conclusion of the league over the weekend. The two teams were part of teams and individual players who were crowned at the ceremony at the City Park Hockey Stadium. Butali reclaims the title they lost to Western Jaguars after the weekend results favoured them. Their closest challengers, USIU, were gunning for a maiden title, but they fell short on Saturday after a heartbreaking 3-3 draw against Jaguars in a match they needed to win. USIU finished second ahead of Western Jaguars in third. On the women's side, it was double celebrations for Lakers Hockey Club from Kisumu City. Lakers edged out defending champions Blazers Hockey Club 2-1 to be crowned champions for the first time. Lakers are also the new Africa Cup for club champions after beating defending champions Ghana Revenue Authority in Zimbabwe. There's no time to rest for the champions as the new 2026-27 season starts this month.
To start with a word
So that is all the sports news that we have for you this evening. My name is Emmanuel Ndungu. We'll continue giving you more updates, particularly on the Starlets, the Harambee Starlets, as they prep for their WAFCON preparations and the full tournament later this month.
Emmanuel Ndi, have you wondered how the weather is like lately?
Yeah, well, it's very rainy, that's what I know. And I'm sure we'll have a lot more discussions here with your stellar panel that you have.
Exactly. That's a conversation we're having in just a short while. Honorable Geoffrey Ruku is joining us as CS Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs from Mombasa. Right next to me is Dr. Ahmed Idris, Secretary General, Kenya Red Cross Society. Thanks for making time. And Edward Murioki, Acting Director, Kenya Meteorological Department. We'll speak to him. He's the weatherman. So we'll find out from him what's been going on. Whether this rain is going to last, whether it's going to cause floods or not. Whether you need an umbrella going home now or not.
I do. I should have had one on the way in. I got a bit wet, but luckily I dried just in time.
See you in just a bit, right after this break. Drought in some areas.